Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the second week of the Club Shake and Bake 2024 Multi-Series Challenge here on Forza Motorsport. I am your host this evening, the JMac Attack 34, also known as Jordan McGraw in other places, and we're excited to bring you this race tonight. Couple of races, both at Catalunya. Last week they were at two different tracks, the GT cars and the touring cars. This week, both at the same event. Two different ribbons around this, two different formations of this racetrack, but still at Circuit de Catalunya. Let's check out a lap around this track in the GT cars, the first race you will see tonight. Alrighty, going down the long straightaway here at Catalunya. Headed down into turn one, your first big heavy braking zone, your first major passing zone on the racetrack. Little switchback here, really difficult to get the power down. A long sweeping corner, easy to miss the speed of it, not rapid as long as you need to. Go shove out to the end. It's also very easy to underdrive, so you have to be really careful with your speed there. Another interesting corner here. Kind of tightens up and then opens up as you go through it. Then you got to get back to the right side really fast for the most awkward corner on the racetrack. Really tough to get right. Got to be real aggressive with the exit there to maximize your lap time. Through a corner that's a little bit faster than you would think it would be. Another long, sweeping right-hander that you have to get the speed right or else you'll end up in the dirt. A relatively long straightaway here before the hard-braking left-hander that tightens up on entry and then opens up into a long, sweeping left-hander on exit. into another little hairpin here that you have to get right. Maybe diamond it just a little bit to maximize your exit speed. Skip the chicane there, little sweeping right-hander, and then one more long right-hander. Got to get the speed right so you can maximize your speed down the straightaway. And that is a lap around Catalunya. Alrighty, last week at Daytona, Leaf Justin 24 was able to bring home the victory, holding off Stanton Drums 94, while Frozen Toes 24, she was able to hold off Ferrari Nut 94 to hold on to that final spot on the podium. That was your top three, well, your top four, if you include Ferrari Nut, in last week's race. This week, expect a little more of the same here. From what I have heard in practice, Frozen Toes has not been the most confident in her speed. Meanwhile, Ferrari Nut 94 probably has put in a little more time. He's one of those drivers you would expect to be toward the front. Leaf Justin 24 has been fast all week, and you would expect Stanton Drums, as well as drivers like Skylan, Legit, Jacob, to find their footing here in these GT cars and put down a nice solid performance this evening. We have about 5 minutes left in practice / qualifying. Unfortunately, we cannot spectate them through Forza just yet with the way the system works. So that is not the greatest, but we could get out on track and watch some guys drive by. That might be interesting, so let's go do that. Let's go into practice here. Head out on the racetrack and see what we can see of these guys heading down the start finish, or the start finish straight into turn one. See what kind of guys are up there, what kind of times are being put down. So you have Skyland 4 in with a 147 flat in this time. Actually, let's just go to qualifying. That's actually going to be the smarter thing to do, because we can actually see what the qualifying times are. You see Ferrari Nut 94 with a 146.7. Very, very strong time. That's kind of what you would expect to see out of him. Definitely. So, all these drivers are going to be on the softs for this qualifying session. I think this is going to be a medium race, a medium tire race. I think some were trying to make softs last. I know in the practice that I ran with these guys, the softs were not the way to go at all. So let's get turned around here, watch these guys go down into turn one, get a little better camera angle. There we go. So, as I was saying, this seems like to be a medium tire race, so it's going to be more in the mid to low 47s. Those are the lap times you're going to see. The softs, they seem to give up right at the end of the race, right in the final handful of laps. They last about 10, maybe 11 laps, and this race will be 12 laps long. So just a little bit, not exactly what you're looking for. You can see a lot of drivers going to get real loose through here, a lot of throttle input, a lot of steering input going to be needed to maintain traction around these corners. But we have 2.5 minutes left. Ferrari Nut still holding on to that top spot here in qualifying with a 146.204. And again, very, very unfortunate that we cannot see a complete leaderboard at the moment to see what lap times are being run. And just going through all of my options here just to see if maybe there was something, but there was unfortunately not. 12 drivers, it seems, to put down a lap time. JC, who was our touring car winner last week, we'll speak more on that later on when we move to the touring cars after this event, but he was the winner in the touring cars. It was a little bit more mid-pack in the GT cars, but still was pretty solid. Not going to be happy with the lap that he has put down so far, as he is 12th out of 12 drivers to make a lap and 13 who will be in this race. a minute 30 remaining in this practice, or in this qualifying session, I should say. Only a couple of drivers still making laps around the racetrack. Again, they're going to be on soft tires, probably have about 3 laps of fuel in the car. I think they can only make 2 laps anyways. Who is this coming down? That is Sober David making his second lap. You can hear the tires squealing on that thing. And that is Skyland absolutely dying in turn 1. Got a fair amount of air there as he killed the tire barriers. Leafs Justin 24 has moved to the top of the board. Gary from Canada has put down a lap as well. He is at the bottom of the leaderboard so far, but Leafs Justin 24 has usurped Ferrari Nut as the current pole sitter for tonight's race. Hearing over the radio some confusion about which tires to run, so that could be interesting. Don't know who will be willing to spill the beans on that as a couple of drivers go around, but here we go. Qualifying about to end, the race about to start, and it looks like Leaf Justin 24 will be able to hold on to that pole position. So congratulations to him. That is the second week in a row to start off the GT side of this series. Let's look at the rundown here. Leafs Justin 24 on the pole with a 146.2. Ferrari Nut 94 will start alongside him in row 2 with a 146.204. So by 4 thousandths of a second was the difference there. Skyland 4 with a 146.3. These times really close, separated by just a little over a tenth amongst the top 3. Then a bit of a gap back to Stanton Drums 94, who ran a 147.9. Just shy of a 147.3 with Scarface 3D. Frozen Toes 24 with a solid run. She will be starting 6th with a 147.397. Sober David 89 with a 147, and I will not read those last 3 numbers. Dion for Dub rolling off in the 8th position with a 147.7. Legit 14 in the 148s. He will roll off 9th. LBZ 81 with a 148.1. That puts him P10 on the grid. Jacob X 99 with a 148.4. He will roll off 11th. His brother JC rolling off 12th with a 149. And shotgun on the field will be Gary from Canada with a 149.4. He will be 13th. And it will place me 14th because, again, I cannot spectate. I cannot spectate qualifying, so we'll have to leave and rejoin. Luckily, they will be running a pace lap here to make that possible. Again, thanks to everyone who is coming out to watch this race tonight. These guys basically put this together for fun, and hopefully the show they put on is worth watching, and hopefully I can make it worth listening to. Or you could always put it on mute, I guess. But anyways, here we go. Gonna have to have a quick exit. There we go. Remember, damage is on tonight. A lot of drivers having issues with hurting their engine through shifting, especially in these pace laps where you have to work your engine, you have to work your throttle to maintain pace speed. It can be real easy to get it a little bit wrong here, as I'm not really sure, but it looks like most of the field is not showing up on my screen. You'll love to see it. Or you'll love to not see it, I guess. Yep, it would seem that most of these guys are not out here. You'll love to see it. It's a good game. Alright, we will try to... We'll see what we can do here. Try this one more time. And if not, we'll leave and then come back. Nope, there are 2 cars on the racetrack, and that is incorrect. Okay, let's try this one more time. Alright, give her one more go here. And once again, only 2 cars showing up on the yellow. It's a good game. Well, we're watching Leafs Justin all by his lonesome go off into turn 1. And yeah. So even though we cannot see the drivers, you're looking at Leafs Justin right now with Ferrari done a half a second back of him. Who is this else on the racetrack? Let's see, that is, I believe, that will be Dion for dub. So we have 2 cars on the racetrack. Oh, it's good. You'll love to see it. Oh, Forza. Forza, Forza, Forza. That is a big dumb shame. Okay. Well. Let's see if we can make this work. I highly doubt it. The way it sounds on the radio, it's a very exciting race, but unfortunately, due to Forza Motorsport being a little bit on the broken side. Let's see. Alright, here we go. One last roll at it. And yep, once again, 2 cars on the racetrack. Ferrari Nut sitting in second, Skyland third, Stanton in fourth. Sober David is, well, he's moving forward. Stanton Drums has had an issue. And the only other chart car we can see on the racetrack is Dion 4Dub in the 6th position. It's weird because you can see the little dots on the map. But, yeah, that's very, very unfortunate. Let's see here. Kind of damage. Oh, Justin has incurred 3% engine damage so far, or 0.3%. So that is unfortunate. And he has apparently lost the lead to Ferrari Nut 94. So move Ferrari Nut 94 up into the lead, even though we can't see him because Forza Motorsport. Well, we have tried killing the game, coming back in. We've tried all sorts of things. Unfortunately, unless you want to just watch one car go around the racetrack, we will not be able to show this race. I hate it. Because a GT race is typically a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch last week. And here we are. Let's at least check out the intervals here just to see where, if we could see them, they would be. Ferrari Nut would be your leader. Leaf Justin 24, one of the two cars we could see on track, is in second. Skyline 4 in third. About a second and a half separating all of these drivers. 3 seconds back to Sober David and Legit, who are having quite the battle for fourth, with Dion 4Dub right on his tail, with Stanton Drums right behind him. There's Dion 4Dub, your other car that you can see on the racetrack. Jacob X99 has had a tough race so far. They're 4 laps in. There'll be 5 laps at lap 5 when they cross the start-finish line, so moving through this race pretty quickly. And you can visually see the gap from first to sixth. You just need to imagine 4 cars in there, in between them. Just close your eyes and visualize. They are there, I promise. Somewhere. Again, it's a real shame that this isn't working, but I mean, not much I can do about it. Sober David has had an issue, and he has fallen back to the 12th position, unfortunately. Ferrari Nut continues to lead. Leaf Justin in second, and Dion 4Dub in the 5th position. The other driver we can see with Skyline and Legit in between them. Let's go to Legit, or Legit Justin. Leafs Justin 24 here. He's fallen back quickly from Ferrari Nut 94. I have to wonder if that little bit of engine damage he has incurred is causing an issue. And again, if you are just joining us, this is the Shake and Bake Multi-Series Challenge. As you can see, there are more than 2 cars on the racetrack, but for some reason Forza seems to have a little bit of a glitch where sometimes other cars do not load in spectate mode, and no matter how many times you leave or join, if you quit the game, force restart it, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, it does not seem to make them appear on the track. You can see the gap back to 5th place from 2nd to 5th. Visually there, Leaf Justin a little ways past the start-finish line as Dion 4Dub was coming off of the final corner. There he goes into turn 1. Let's see, let's ride along with him. Let's get on to a somewhat legitimate camera angle here. Turn on the telemetry. Full throttle down into turn 1, well, not turn 1, but turn whatever that is. Really trying to wrap the corner. You can diamond that one a little bit to try to get a run off, but you don't get much benefit because you have the most obnoxious corner on the track here in the left-hander. Want to hit that? You want to almost stop yourself with that curb on the right-hand side, let it shove you back out to the left here to set yourself up for this right-hander. And again, he is 3.8 seconds behind the invisible Ferrari Nut and 1.17 seconds ahead of the invisible Skyline. Legit in 4th. Dion 4Dub in 5th. Stanton Drums in 6th. JC in 7th after starting nearly last on the field. He has worked his way up to the 7th position. Scarface in 8th. LBZ in 9th. Frozen Toast 24, who started 6th, is run back in the 10th position. Sober David in 11th. Gary from Canada 12th. And Jacob X99, who has had some issues, is 24 seconds off of 12th in 13th position. Yeah, it really is, I guess. If you just, like, took everyone else out of the racetrack, this kind of would be like, this is a driver channel. But just unfortunate. Dion 4Dub is mixed up in the best battle on the racetrack. Unfortunately, you will only be able to see his perspective of it. But he is currently a 10th back of Stanton Drums with JC, who continues to move through the field, or directly behind him somewhere. Scarface sitting 1.8 seconds back. Let's see how he has managed his engine so far. No damage at all whatsoever on this machine driven by Dion 4Dub. So he currently takes the right-hander, uses a lot of curb, actually puts the right-hand tires in the dirt. He is falling back a little bit from the non-corporeal Stanton Drums 94, continuing to maintain his half-second gap on the ethereal JC. Ferrari Nut 94 up front, legging out his lead over Leaf Shustin 24. Skyland holding on to the 3rd spot. Those drivers starting to separate themselves just a little bit. Actually, Skyland has made up about a 10th or 2 since we last visited those two, but Leaf Shustin continuing to maintain that gap. Now it's getting a little bit closer. But the best battle on the field is Dion 4Dub as he and JC continue to race each other. You can see Dion a little bit off of line as JC is using up some of the racetrack. Not that any of us would know it, but he is out there somewhere. 2/10 back, probably going to try a dive here. Let's see. Nope, Dion's going to be able to get down to the bottom, so JC somewhere behind him. Now, JC is really good in the touring cars, so expect him to be competitive in the upcoming race, where hopefully we'll be able to see all of the action and not just a couple of cars that aren't glitched out. Oops. And Dion using a lot of racetrack. They're putting the rights in there. Let's see if JC tries to make a move here. Yep, he is going around, I believe, the left side. Seeing how shallow Dion was on exit. And yep, JC able to make that pass on the inside, judging by where Dion was. Dion looked like he was trying to cross over, but will not be able to get back to him. In fact, is a second back, so not able to make that pass whatsoever. Meanwhile, Skyland 4 has been able to make up some ground here on Leaf Shustin 24. Let's go to the other race car. We're able to see he is even with Skyland. You'll just have to pretend he's there and take my word for it. Leaf Justin getting a lot of speed down the straightaway. They were even at one point, but Justin able to get some top end speed at the end of the straightaway and then outbrake him into turn 1. Somewhere 0.3 seconds back is the ghostly Skyland 4. 0.3 of a second back. This is the best battle on the racetrack. Continue to work their way through all of this. Again, the most difficult corner on the racetrack right there. Leaf Justin misses it just a little bit, a little wide through the center and on the exit. Skyland not able to take advantage of that. Justin using some of that curb on the right side. That means he got a good run through that left-hander. Now, one of the other tougher racetracks, and he misses it. I believe Skylin is on his right side. Justin almost goes wide. Skylin is there somewhere, likely on his left side now. So Leaf Justin must have missed that previous corner. Still, Skylin not really making a move there. Justin able to outbrake him. Now again, move Skylin around him. He's now 8 seconds ahead. Oh, it's being all sorts of weird. Skylin and Justin on top of each other, side by side. You can tell how low Justin is. Skylin must be on his left side. Still there on exit. This is a great battle that we can't see. Now Justin gonna fall in line. We'll see if he uses the draft here and tries to outbrake the spiritual Skylin 4. Not going to be able to, so move Skylin up into the second position. Again, a shame we can only see 2 of the race cars that are on the track, because that was a nice move. It looked like a good race between those two. You only got to see one half of it. Meanwhile, Legit also really close, trying to run down Leaf Justin 24 and take that final spot on the podium. Justin a little wide through that corner. That's going to hurt his time as he is losing ground on Skylin. Might be getting a little bit aero tight behind him. Legit, meanwhile, only a 0.6 of a second back. That is the closest battle on the racetrack. You are not missing anything anywhere else, and I have never meant that more literally in my life. Using as much racetrack as he can there. Couple of solid corners, but Legit making up some ground here. He is 2 tenths ahead. Now, this is a point where we can't really tell what tires everyone is on, but this is a point in the race where anyone on the soft tires are going to start to feel it, going to start to feel the ill effects of that tire wear. We'll see if anyone is on the mediums, if anyone is on the softs, I mean, running a little bit counter strategy, because I think most drivers were expected to run the medium tire here for this race. Riding on board with the invisible Ferrari nut. Let's see if I can see his telemetry at least. I'm curious if I can see some damage here, and you can see the tire wear. He has orange tires, so a driver that's possibly on that alternate strategy might be starting to feel it, as Skylin 4 is closing the gap just a little bit. Skylin all white on the tires, Leaf Justin 24, so Skylin is also on that medium strategy. Legit 14 seems to be on the softs as well, as he is really struggling, following behind Leaf Justin 24. Tries to dive it in there, Justin slams that door. Yeah, you can visibly see in the intervals that Ferrari nut is struggling with the tires. Taking a nice, quiet dolly ride around the racetrack, but yeah, Ferrari nut's tires have completely fallen off here. Skyland continues to make up ground here. He is going to be able to pass Ferrari Nut. Will Ferrari Nut even be able to hold on to a podium spot? That's the question now. As Leaf Justin 24 gets passed by Legit 14. They are now third and fourth. Stanton Drums 94 in fifth. JC in sixth. Scarface in seventh. Dion 4Dub in eighth. LBZ in ninth. Sober David in 10th. Frozen Toes has had a struggle on this race. She is back to 11th. Gary from Canada has started in the back, has made up one spot. He is in 12th. And Jacob X99 continues to pace the field, pace around the racetrack. He is in 13th, 27 seconds back of now the leader, Skyland. Oh, Skyland going wide there. Skyland and Ferrari Nut continuing here as we follow the ghostly apparitions of Skyland 4 around Ferrari Nut. Skyland 4 on the medium tires. You can tell Ferrari Nut on the softs. That right rear, or that left front is completely gone. He is out in the gravel, really struggling. Legit is going to get around him, and as you can see, Leaf Justin 24 also goes around him. So move those three drivers up into the top three. Ferrari Nut 94 once again is going to miss out on a podium in the GT race as the tires have completely given up on him. That alternate strategy not working out. Now we'll see if he can finish in the top half of the field as Stanton Drums 94 and JC are going to be running him down. Must have had an issue with LBZ as he has fallen back to the 12th position. Gary from Canada actually benefiting that from the most as he is able to leapfrog both LBZ and Frozen Toes 24. Let's see, what's a... Oh, hearing on the radio a big issue with Ferrari Nut 94. It looks like your race winner is going to be Skyland 24. Meanwhile, Leaf Justin 24 has been able to make his way around Legit. So Skyland, Leaf Justin, and Legit are going to be your top three finishers in this race, barring some sort of accident as they head through the final corners. Again, I can't think of another word for ghostly or spiritual or, you know, another play on being invisible here. But here comes Skyland 4. He is going to win this race. You couldn't see him. Neither could the other drivers and the fans as he blurred his way by. Stanton Drums actually able to get around Legit for the third spot, so he's able to finish on the podium. Leaf Justin 24 in second. JC likely going to come home here in the fifth position with Scarface. Ferrari Nut 94 falls all the way back to 7th after leading most of this race. Dion 4Dub going to be 8th. Sober David 9th. Gary from Canada in 10th with Jacob X99 in 11th. LBZ 81 in 12th. And Frozen Toast 24 in the 13th position as they lost a lap there at the end. What a race we didn't get to see. But maybe we can talk to these drivers and they can talk about it a little bit for us and fill in some of the gaps. Let's see here. Doop doop doo doo. All right, here we are with our podium. There's our party of drivers here. Skyland 4, we didn't get to watch you drive around the racetrack. You were an invisible force of destruction out there. Tell to us about your race. Yeah, fill in the gaps for us that we might not have been able to see out there on your way to a victory here in the GT Series.
I got a good start. I got to troll Ferrari nut down the straightaway, which is always fun because this thing's a rocket ship. Ferrari got by us and he ran away, which is fine. Me and Justin had a blast battling. It was a great duel. I was able to eke it out and run away just enough that I wasn't under fire, and then Ferrari's tires just disappeared on them. They went down to the steel belts and was done. So I was able to run them down, get past them, and brought it home. This is a funky driving little car, but it's a lot of fun.
Talk about the racetrack. It's a very interesting place to drive. How are you feeling out there? Were you confident in your ability to take home the dub tonight?
I was confident I would finish well. I didn't expect to get the win. That was a pleasant surprise for sure. But it's Catalunya. I've turned a lot of laps here, so it's a pretty familiar place. But it feels good. Track felt normal. There was no weirdness. Good to be back on Forza.
Well, that is Skyland 4, the winner of the GT Series race. We'll talk over here to Leafs Justin 24. He had fallen as far back as 4th there at the end, but was able to work his way back up to 2nd. Talk about the chaos of those final laps and how you were able to manage to hang on to a solid podium position tonight.
It just seemed like everybody's tires kind of all culminated at the same time. We had a couple on softs that got up front, and a couple of us on mediums, and I thought Ferrari was way too far out front for it to matter, but apparently not. And as soon as Chris got to him, I had legit also get to me, and I didn't even realize it, but apparently he was on softs also, so about exactly when he got around me, his tires fell off too, so it was a big old mess. It was like 4 of us all on top of each other at the same time. Managed to keep a clean nose and 4 tires on the track and get back to 2nd place.
Yep, so far a win and a 2nd place. That's a strong way to start off the season. How does that have you feeling for the GT Series the rest of the way?
A lot better than I was expecting it to, actually. But hopefully we can keep the momentum up going forward.
All right, that is Leaf Justin, your 2nd place finisher. Let's move on to one of our invisible drivers out there in the spectate mode. Stanton Drums 94 coming out of nowhere to take that final podium spot. Talk about your race.
Well, I honestly didn't think I had the speed for the top 3 because in practice I didn't turn a lot of laps. So I only had what I was based off of qualifying, which I was, I think, 9/10 off or something like that if they ran 46. No, 7/10 off. And then I got into the dirt early, so I fell back as far as I think 7th. Had a good view of either Dion, JC, or Legit, all at 3-4 different times. Got passed, even actually by Gary too, because he accidentally got turned by Dion. So I had a lot of chaos throughout the race. But once I got clean of Dion and Gary and Jarrett, I was just able to turn some laps until the other tires fell off, and then was able to make a good clean pass on Legit at the end.
Well, that is Stanton Drums 94, your 3rd place finisher. That's it for the GT Series. Coming up next is the Touring Car Series, and hopefully that will work a lot better for us up here in the booth. But hopefully you guys have some fun and put on a good show here.
Thank you, J-Mac.
Alright, moving on to the touring car event. And again, hopefully the spectate mode works a little bit better for us this time around than it did in the previous race. Got a new lobby rolling. These drivers are, again, at Catalunya, just like the previous race that we just held in the tour in the GT cars. A little bit different of a lap, a little different formation of the racetrack, and let's check out what these drivers are going to be dealing with here with a lap around Catalunya in a touring car. Alright, here we go. Once again down the long straightaway here at Catalunya, this time in the touring car. Straightaway is just a little bit shorter this time around. You can see the wall coming up, hard braking zone into a really tight hairpin. Multiple ways you can attack it. That's probably not the correct way, but now go back to the left-hand side. Use that curb on the right to kind of help keep the car from sliding out. Take this long, sweeping right-hander into a much faster than you would think set of little S's here. Down the rest of this little straight into a hard braking corner that is really tight on entry and then opens up as you go through the exit. Now once again into this long sweeping right-hand hairpin that you can diamond. You can either wrap it around or you can diamond it to give you a little bit of a better exit. This time we're going to take the hard right-hander that goes into this chicane. Want to use every little bit of track that you legally can. Fan it to the outside, then take this long sweeping right-hander. And there you are, back on the straightaway for a lap around the Catalunya Club Circuit. Alrighty, so once again, we're going to be running here at Catalunya in the touring cars. 7 minutes and 45 seconds left of practice / qualifying. Again, they have 10 minutes to get some laps in, get the warm-up in, and put down 2 different qualifying laps. Unfortunately, we do not have the option to spectate at this time, but we can wander our way out there and check out what the pole time is, as well as the bottom of the leaderboard, because that's all we'll be able to see. Drivers are going to definitely be wanting to use the soft tires for both the race and hold on, gotta work my way through the cameras here, get to a little better position, driving all over the place. But anyways, these drivers are definitely going to be wanting to use the soft tires for both qualifying and the race itself. These cars handle completely different than the GT cars. For anyone not initiated with the touring cars, they are front-wheel drive, and the GTs you can sort of drive with the rear end. These you absolutely cannot. We can at least check out what is going on down here in Turn 1. Probably the most difficult track, or the most difficult turn on this version of the track, as it's really difficult to set up your speed, get a right line into Turn 1. But so far, Sober David has put down the lone qualifying lap, I believe, with a 1:22.581. We're getting near halfway through this session, so drivers are going to start filing into the qualifying portion of it and start putting down some laps. It's definitely a little quicker of a lap with the shorter racetrack, even with this being in a slower car. The racetrack itself a little bit slower than the configuration we're using in the GT race. Here comes Legit. He's made his way out onto the racetrack. He works his way around. Gary from Canada also on the race course. We'll see what kind of lap times they are able to put down. And yeah, you can see everyone filing in. There comes Sober David, absolutely destroying his race car, putting her upside down, destroying some rubber. Those poor tires did nothing to him, but he wanted to take out a little bit of anger. He has put down a 121.844.
Race starts in 5 minutes.
I believe times should be around the 120s. Those are going to be your pole times. Low 120s. I've heard high 19s, but I'll believe it when I see it. But I do believe low 120s are going to be where you're going to want to be for this qualifying lap here in Catalunya in the touring cars. This race should go by a lot faster, but it will be a little bit... It won't be as fast as last week's. Last week's race at Hakkinen going by in a flash, as you can see. JC out on the racetrack, Sober David again making some laps around the racetrack. Legit has taken over the pole time as he has a 121.3 out there. Jacob X99, he is also on racetrack. Both of those drivers seem to be in qualifying as they are going through each other. And somebody just absolutely died a horrible death in turn 1. In lieu of flowers. I wasn't sure who that was. It might have been Scarface, might have been Skyland, not sure. Might have been Justin, it could have been anybody. Oh, legit. Stanton Drums also on the racetrack, and by the way, he has put down the fastest lap time with a 121.166. So these times a little bit slower than honestly I was expecting to see. Here comes Leafs Justin really whipping that rear end around into turn 1 as he puts down his qualifying lap. And you can kind of see how weird this track is. It kind of goes down into a dip before going uphill just a tiny little bit in the center, and then has another kind of little dip. So not a straight shot through this opening corner that is going to give drivers a lot of trouble here, especially early on in the race when they're all on top of each other. Legit has died in turn 1. Gary from Canada making his way around, as well as Scarface 3D. Skyland also out on the racetrack. JC has put down a 119.6, so seeing is believing. JC really taking to these touring cars, trying to back up his victory last week with a win tonight in at Catalunya. He is currently on the pole at the moment. Drivers working their way through. Justin really high through the corner. Gives him a decent exit, but still missing that entry. A lot of speed there. Could have been gone. JC continuing to hold on to that pole time with a 19.6. That is a horrible death from JC as his car goes from 100 to 0 in 0 time flat. I believe Sober David is in practice mode at the moment. There comes Jacob X99, getting a little bit of airtime there as he smokes the wall. Scarface 3D. They're all coming in now. Skyland 4 with a little pirouette on his nose after killing the tires. We're eventually going to get all of them out of the barrier here. And here comes Ferrari Nut 94, the driver who last week in this series, or in this half of the series, I should say, was able to pull off a lot of laps led, but was passed by JC in the final corner. Will Ferrari Nut be able to take the pole away from JC here in the closing laps of qualifying? It's going to be difficult for him to get around in time. Only 20 seconds remaining here in this practice session. Looks like Ferrari Nut is not going to be able to put a lap down, so he is going to start in the back of this field. Let's see, JCX124104 will start on the pole. He was our winner in the series last week, looking to back that up with a 19. He was the only driver in the 19s, a Skyline 4 P2 with a 120-101. Stanton Drums 94 finished third previously in the GT race. He will roll off in the third position. Scarface 3D starting fourth with a 120.7. Jacob X99 with a solid qualifying run. He will roll off in the fifth spot. Dion 4Dub in sixth place. He had a 121.1. Legit 14 is in seventh with a 121.1. Sober David 89 will roll off in the eighth position. On the inside of row 5 is Leaf Justin 24 with a 122.1. Gary from Canada on the outside of row 5 with a 123.015. LBZ 81 will be P11 on the grid with a 124.2. Frozen Toast 24 did not put a lap time down. She rolls off in 12th. And Ferrari Nut will start last with a no time on the board as well. And of course it had me out there. So Ferrari going to end up starting a row back from where he should. Or a half a row back. I'm gonna roll in here. They're gonna get off to a start here that we will not get to see. Everyone getting a good launch off of the corner. Or off of the start, off of the grid. We'll head off to the event menu and then we will try to get into spectate mode and hopefully we will be able to see these guys. That will be incredibly hearing a lot of contact in turn 1. And once again, this game... This game... Good night. That is disappointing and depressing. Well... That is unfortunate. That we will not be able to see these guys tonight. Hope you can see somebody getting spun around back there by a bunch of invisible cars. Don't know who that was. Must have been either Stanton Drums or Legit, depending on the spot there, but those are the two cars we can see, it appears, is Ferrari Nut and Stanton Drums. Actually, it's Legit. So Ferrari and Legit are our two... Actually, no. It's Dion 4Dub. So had that wrong the entire time. Dion 4Dub, once again, the lucky recipient of an onboard camera. While Ferrari Nut working his way to the inside here of Scarface 3D. He will take the fifth spot. Some fantastic racing out here that no one can see, but Ferrari Nut 94, who started dead last on this field, already up into the third spot, and likely going to go for more here. Jacob X99 has made up some ground here. Let's see. in the span of 2 laps, Ferrari Nut 94 up 10 positions on the rest of the field. Jacob 99 up 1, Sober David up 3. Meanwhile, the big loser so far has been Stanton Drums. He has fallen 5 spots since the green flag flew, and these guys took off the start-finish line. Still, this is genuinely disappointing that we cannot watch this race. And the same issue that we had previously with the touring cars is the engine is perpetually pegged. Cannot see it in the telemetry, and audibly you can hear it pegged. So this is the spectator mode that Forza has given us, as Ferrari Nut 94 able to make his way around Skyland 4. JC with the is currently leading. Fully expect Ferrari Nut to be able to take the lead here. I think some of these guys might be on medium tires. I believe softs were the way to go. Check out the damage. Do we want to give it one more go? Possibly. Maybe. Why not? This is unfortunate. Very misfortunate. You're basically just watching, like, a NASCAR racecast version of this. You can see intervals and some little dots go around a map. Let's see. Gonna try to see what we're doing here. As you can see, there is a race in progress. And show all the cars, show all the cars, show all the cars, show all the cars, show all the cars. And not all of the cars have been shown. JC still holding on to the lead over Ferrari Nut 94 as he continues to make his way around Catalunya. Oh, that is not the camera we wanted to use. Looking back here on Ferrari Nut 94, there's really no need to be looking at anything other than the intervals here. We'll check out the car telemetry. Apparently some damage to a couple of drivers. Leaf Justin 24 is down a lap, as well as Frozen Toes and Scarface 3D, so an issue must have befallen those 3 drivers. Ferrari Nut in P2, Skyland 3rd, Jacob 4th, Sober David 5th, Legit 6th, Dion 4Dub 7th, Stanton Drums 8th, Gary from Canada 9th, LBZ is 10th, and those are the drivers currently on track, even though LBZ has fallen more than 40 seconds off the pace here. JC continuing to hold on to the lead here as Ferrari Nut has made his way up, all the way up to the 2nd position, but is now stalled a little bit. You have to wonder if maybe he is biding his time, saving his tires, or perhaps maybe he's wanting to have a A magical finish, just like the one last week, go in his favor. This currently would be the best battle on the racetrack, and now the ticker has fixed itself a little bit since we got back in. Now Frozen is in 9th, Justin is in 7th. I can't remember who the other driver was that it was saying was having a major issue, but that has been resolved. But LBZ still more than 35 seconds back of Gary from Canada, so he has fallen well off the pace here early on. I say early on, but we're at about the halfway point of this race. You can see Ferrari Nut 94 out on the racetrack. He is a 10th behind the apparitional JC. Now he is going to the inside using a lot of the racetrack. He's thought about pulling up, not going to do it, going to outbrake him, and going into turn 1, it looks like JC going to try to battle back, maybe get a little bit of dirt. Not really sure. That will move Ferrari Nut up into P1. Meanwhile, the next best battle on the track is between Sober David and Jacob, as well as Legit. Those three drivers really close together right now. Now, a little bit of a mistake, it appears, has managed to separate those guys. Right along with the peace and quiet, the almost ASMR, as you hear the crowd cheering, but no sound of car noise whatsoever, as Jacob works his way around, as he is out trying to hold off Leaf Justin 24, who is currently 4/10 back of him, using a lot of racetrack, if the camera angle is to be believed. Legit, Sober David, Jacob, and Leaf Justin separated here by about 1.5 seconds, if my math is correct. So really tight race between these four drivers. An excellent battle for the 4th position. It is a shame that we cannot see it. Oh, meanwhile, Ferrari not using a ton of dirt there. Not sure how legal that is, but I don't believe the stewards are going to nab him for that. There will be 4 laps to go when he comes back around, as he is still attempting to hold off JC, who is still in that 2nd position, but is right on his bumper. I wish we could see it. JC currently in the 2nd position. A 1/2 second back, really dives it in there in the center. It gets a really good launch, but Ferrari Nut with that diamond of the corner able to get a little better launch out of the exit. Those two remain pretty even through that little switchback of corners, and then we'll see how the gap changes here going through turn, whatever turn that is. Really, this is Ferrari Nut using a lot of dirt, not as much dirt on the left-hander that time around. JC able to maintain that gap a little bit, able to stay in striking distance of Ferrari Nut 94. That's really all you can ask for. Meanwhile, Dion Ferdub has had issues. He has fallen back 20 seconds of the back of the field. Skyland 4 currently in the 3rd spot, Legit 4th, Leaf Justin 5th, and Jacob X99 in that 6th position, as Justin, Jacob, and David all in a dogfight for that 5th spot. Meanwhile, Stanton and Frozen also in a dogfight of their own, separated by 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second. Once again, this is a massive shame that this game will not load in the rest of the cars. Only 2 cars it seems, per race are loading in. Last time it was Leaf Justin and Dion Fordub. This time it was Ferrari Nut and Dion Fordub. But at least we can watch how the leader attacks this racetrack from the ghost cam of JC. Ferrari using a lot of dirt there through that left-hander. A little bit bigger of a gap there on JC, but JC a much better corner this time around. He's able to get right to that rear bumper of Ferrari Nut. He's going to look underneath him. Once again, JC coming alive in the final moments of this race. They will come around to the line to take 2 to go. He is working on him. Really getting into those corners really well. Hanging on the rear bumper of Ferrari Nut 94, but he's able to hold on to that lead. Ferrari Nut into the dirt. That's going to allow JC to make that pass and get around him. Ferrari really dives it in deep into one to set himself up for a late apex out of the corner. Using a lot of racetrack there, as you can see, through the switchback, but that is not gaining him any ground on JC. JC really smooth through these corners, able to pull away from Ferrari Nut. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th and 5th is really tightened up as Leaf Justin right on the rear bumper of Legit. But here at the front is the race that we can sort of see between JC and Ferrari Nut, but it has been legged out to about a second. And Ferrari Nut 94 really driving desperately here in the closing laps of this race, and that has done nothing but hurt him. JC continues to pull away. Ferrari Nut continues to miss corners. Really, really struggling here. Ferrari Nut seems to be on that alternate strategy, and again, we thought that the softs were going to be the way to go, but apparently the mediums have held together just a little bit better in this race, as Ferrari Nut 94 has chewed up those soft tires. JC also starting to wear that left front, but he only has to make a half a lap around this racetrack as he is going to sail off into the distance to lead and beat Ferrari Nut 94. Will Ferrari Nut be able to hold on to that second spot? That is the question. As we ride on to the front bumper of Skyline 4. JC has really pulled out. It looks like Skyline not going to be able to run down Ferrari Nut, so Ferrari Nut going to be able to hold on to that second position. But once again, for the second time in 2 weeks, JC able to win here in the Touring Car Series. You sort of saw it here, folks. Not really, but kind of. Ferrari Nut in second, Skyline third. Legit going to come home in the 4th spot, it looks like, with Leafs Justin coming across the line in the 5th spot. It will be Jacob X99, Sober David, Frozen Toes 24 takes the start-finish line in 8th. Scarface 3D in 9th, Stanton Drums 10th, Gary from Canada, Dion 4Dub, and LBZ will round out the field here tonight. Thanks to anyone who watched. We're going to get some interviews here, but again, just want to get it out of the way. Thanks to everyone who watched. It sucks that this didn't work like it should, but it is what it is. Not a lot that can be done. And once again, it seems the mediums were the way to go. Last week at Hakkinen, it was the softs, but I guess a little bit more tire wear this week here at Catalunya. And the drivers drove with the mediums, able to take home the dub. Well, once again, a little bit of a fog of war on what was going on out there, but we were able to sort of watch JC pass Ferrari out there in the closing laps of the race here tonight. Talk about those final laps and the difference in strategy that was able to help you pull off the victory and to sweep the first two races of the season here in the touring car season.
Woo, man, another win. You know, I'm not used to winning anymore, so this is definitely is super cool to be able to be competitive and up at the front, and to win the first two races is definitely exciting. I didn't think the soft tires were going to last, but then in the practice, I was only getting 5-6% wear a lap, so I thought that was really the move. But Chris got by me at the very start, and I thought that was it. He was just going to be able to hold me off. I wasn't going to be able to have the advantage, but it seemed like I figured it out as the race went on, and gamble paid off.
And talk about the racing out there. Was it tough? Was it fun? Was it tough and fun? What was it like out there tonight?
It's definitely super tough, but super fun. I don't know if you caught the part where Chris and I were door to door for a couple turns going through the S's there, and then Ferrari and I were door to door for a decent part too. It's super fun to be able to kind of lean on each other, and as long as you don't overdo it, you can kind of bounce off each other and just keep on racing. And I feel like that's the most exciting thing. It's just everyone just seems like they could be competitive at any moment given the track position. So a lot of fun.
Well, that is JCX12, who was able to come home tonight with his second straight win in the touring car series. We'll move over to Ferrari Nut 94. Two soft tire gambles on the evening. This one paying off a little bit better, but still not quite what you wanted. Talk about your race tonight here.
Well, probably would have gone a bit better if I hadn't, botched qualifying. I was a couple of seconds shy of being able to get a lap in, and had to start dead last, actually behind your Ghost. And then after the first lap or two, I was up, behind the top three and just started picking them off. Kind of seems like the Hyundai fires off a little better, but it definitely abuses the front tires a bit more from what I can see. So that might be something to consider going forward. Was able to get in the fight there and kind of, mix it up and with JC, and it just it's the same thing as last week. Just the last couple of laps, the front end just gives up way too much compared to the rest of the car, and it just starts to plow. So he was able to get around me and run off a little bit, especially that last lap. It just was a dump truck, basically. So I'm not sure if the Audi's just that much easier on the tires, or if that's a driving style thing, or just the being on the softs, and this car doesn't like it after a few laps. But coming from behind like that, it wasn't really the plan, but that's the cards I was dealt. So
that is Ferrari Nut, able to work his way through the field up to a second place position. I believe it was Skyland that finished third that race, I think. Yes? That's correct? No one's saying no,
correct.
so I'm going to assume that is correct. All right, Skyland. Heard about your battle with JC. Didn't get to see it because your car was not showing up on the track, but hey, you know what? Forza bugs. Hooray. So anyway, talk about your...
I put an invisible paint scheme on it.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's
Okay.
exactly how it was supposed to work.
Okay, so the camo was working. That's good to hear. Talk about your race and what you might have needed more to take home the victory, that kind of thing.
I needed to adjust faster to these cars. I thought I was doing the adjustment pretty quick, and I was not. Once we got to the second half of the race, where I was kind of just running on my own, I kept taking 2/10 out of it there, 2/10 out of it in another spot. I ended up running a full second faster at the end of the race than I was when I was running around Ferrari and Jarrett. And I do not think that was just fuel load or anything. I think that was just me switching mentalities from a rear engine, rear drive car to a front engine, front wheel drive car. And I got to make that switch faster. But I just love that these overgrown bumper cars exist, these things are ridiculous and they're so much fun because you can just smash into each other and not feel bad about it and not have to worry about crashing each other and just go for it. It's a blast.
That is Skyland 4 rolling out in the third spot. Had a lot of fun tonight. I had a lot of fun bringing it to y'all, even though we didn't really get to see a whole lot of action. Did what we could with what we had. Next week, hopefully it'll work better like it did in week 1, and this kind of thing does not happen again. But thanks to everyone who rolled by. There were definitely a lot more people this week than there were last week, so that was fun.